Developing a strong memory for academic and professional success. Memory is the foundation of learning, decision-making, and personal growth. Whether preparing for an academic exam, delivering a high-stakes presentation, or recalling critical details in a professional setting, a strong memory can significantly enhance performance and confidence. Fortunately, memory is not a fixed trait. It can be cultivated through deliberate practice, scientifically backed techniques, and lifestyle adjustments. This video delves deeply into the science of memory, explores psychologists' advice on improving it, and provides practical strategies for achieving academic and professional success. By understanding how memory works and applying proven methods, individuals can unlock their cognitive potential and excel in their endeavors. The science of memory, how it works. Memory is a complex cognitive process involving three key stages: encoding, storage, and retrieval. Encoding is the process of absorbing and processing information, transforming it into a form the brain can store. Storage involves retaining that information over time, either in short-term memory temporary, lasting seconds to minutes, or long-term memory lasting days to a lifetime. Retrieval is the ability to access stored information when needed, such as recalling facts during an exam or remembering a client's preferences in a meeting. Psychologists such as Hermann Ebbinghaus and Alan Baddeley have extensively studied memory and its mechanisms. Ebbinghaus's work in the late 19th century introduced the forgetting curve, which demonstrates that newly learned information is forgotten rapidly unless reinforced. His research emphasized the importance of repetition and review to strengthen memory retention. Baddeley's working memory model 1974 further explains how short-term memory functions as a system for temporarily holding and manipulating information, comprising components like the phonological loop for verbal information and the visuospatial sketchpad for visual and spatial data. These models highlight that memory is not a single entity, but a dynamic system that can be optimized through targeted strategies. Recent advancements in neuroscience, such as studies using functional magnetic resonance imaging fMRI, reveal that memory formation involves multiple brain regions, including the hippocampus critical for forming new memories, and the prefrontal cortex involved in retrieval and decision-making. Psychologists agree that memory is malleable, influenced by factors like attention, emotion, and repetition. For example, emotionally charged events are often remembered more vividly due to amygdala activation, as noted in a 2015 study in Nature Reviews Neuroscience Ledoux, 2015. Understanding these mechanisms allows individuals to adopt evidence-based techniques to enhance memory performance. Psychologists' advice on improving memory. Psychologists emphasize a multifaceted approach to memory improvement, combining cognitive strategies, lifestyle changes, and environmental adjustments. Below are key recommendations drawn from psychological research and clinical practice. 1. Optimize encoding through active engagement. Encoding is most effective when individuals actively engage with material. Psychologists like John Sweller, who developed cognitive load theory, suggest that learning is enhanced when cognitive resources are focused on relevant information. To optimize encoding, focus attention, eliminate distractions, such as smartphones or background noise, to direct cognitive resources toward the material. A 2017 study in psychological science found that multitasking reduces retention by up to 30%. Unkofer and Wagner, 2017. Use elaborative encoding. Connect new information to existing knowledge. For example, when learning a new concept, relate it to a personal experience or a familiar analogy. This creates stronger neural connections, as supported by Craik and Lockhart's levels of processing theory 1972. Visualize concepts, transform abstract information into vivid mental images. For instance, to remember the chemical structure of glucose, visualize it as a hexagonal ring with carbon soldiers stationed at each corner. 2. Strengthen storage with spaced repetition. Ebbinghaus's forgetting curve underscores the importance of reviewing information at strategic intervals to prevent decay. Psychologists advocate spaced repetition, a technique where material is revisited at increasing intervals, for example, 1 hour, 1 day, 3 days, 1 week. This method leverages the spacing effect, which shows that distributed practice is more effective than cramming. A 2013 meta-analysis in Psychological Bulletin confirmed that spaced repetition improves long-term retention by up to 50% compared to massed practice, say Peta et al., 2013. Tools like Anki or Quizlet can automate spaced repetition, presenting flashcards at optimal intervals based on user performance. For example, a medical student studying anatomy might review terms like brachial plexus multiple times over weeks, ensuring the information moves from short-term to long-term memory. 3. Enhance retrieval with active recall. Retrieval practice, or actively recalling information without cues, is one of the most effective ways to strengthen memory. Psychologists like Henry Roediger III have demonstrated that testing oneself, for example, using flashcards or practice questions, outperforms passive review methods like rereading notes. A 2011 study in Science found that students who practiced active recall retained 50% more information after a week compared to those who only reviewed notes. Roediger and Karpik, 2011. To implement active recall, after studying a topic, close the book and write down or recite everything you remember. Use practice exams or quizzes to simulate retrieval conditions. Teach the material to someone else, as teaching forces deep processing and retrieval. 4. Leverage mnemonics and memory aids. Mnemonics are tools that simplify complex information into memorable patterns. Psychologists endorse techniques like acronyms and acrostics. Create a word or phrase where each letter represents a concept. For example, to remember the planets Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, use the acronym "My very educated mother just served us nachos." Chunking. Break information into smaller groups. For instance, memorize a 10-digit phone number as 3 chunks: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, rather than 10 individual digits. Method of Loci Memory Palace. Associate information with specific locations in a familiar spatial environment. This technique, rooted in ancient Greek oratory, is highly effective for sequential recall. 5. Support memory with lifestyle factors. Psychologists emphasize that cognitive performance depends on physical and mental well-being. Key recommendations include sleep. Sleep consolidates memories, particularly during rapid eye movement REM stages. A 2018 study in Nature Communications found that sleep deprivation impairs hippocampal function, reducing retention by up to 40%. Havocks and Abel, 2018. Aim for 7–8 hours of sleep, especially before high-stakes events like exams. Exercise. Aerobic exercise increases blood flow to the hippocampus, enhancing memory formation. A 2019 study in The Lancet showed that regular exercise improves cognitive function by 20% in adults. Erickson et al., 2019. Nutrition. A diet rich in omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and B vitamins supports brain health. Foods like salmon, blueberries, and leafy greens are recommended, as noted in a 2020 review in Nutrients. G. Mez Panilla, 2020. Stress management. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which impairs memory retrieval. Techniques like mindfulness meditation or deep breathing can reduce stress, as supported by a 2017 study in Journal of Cognitive Enhancement. Jha et al., 2017. Practical strategies for academic and professional success. Building on psychologists' advice, the following strategies provide actionable steps to develop a strong memory tailored to academic and professional contexts. These methods are designed to be practical, adaptable, and effective for students, professionals, and lifelong learners. The Memory Palace Technique. A step-by-step guide. The Memory Palace Technique, or method of Loci, is one of the most powerful mnemonic devices used by memory champions and endorsed by psychologists for its effectiveness in encoding and retrieving complex information. Here's how to apply it for exam preparation or professional tasks. 1. Choose a familiar location. Select a place you know well, such as your home, workplace, or a daily commute route. The familiarity ensures you can visualize it effortlessly. 2. Identify distinct landmarks. Pick specific spots within the location, for example, your front door, kitchen sink, bedroom mirror. These will serve as hooks for storing information. 3. Create vivid associations. Link each piece of information to a landmark using exaggerated, memorable imagery. For example, to remember the stages of mitosis for a biology exam: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Imagine prophase, a professional wrestler flexing at your front door; metaphase, a metal plate spinning on your kitchen table; anaphase, an anaconda snake slithering across your couch; telophase, a telephone ringing loudly in your bedroom. 4. Mentally walk the route. Rehearse by visualizing yourself walking through the location, recalling each image and its associated information. 5. Test and refine. Practice retrieving the information without notes, adjusting images if they're not memorable enough. Case study: a law student preparing for a bar exam used the memory palace to memorize key legal principles. She visualized her apartment, associating each room with a legal concept, for example, a giant contract scroll in the living room. During the exam, she mentally walked through her apartment, recalling details with 90% accuracy. Spaced repetition for long-term retention. To ensure information stays in long-term memory, implement spaced repetition using the following approach. Create a review schedule. After studying a topic, review it after 1 hour, 1 day, 3 days, 1 week, and 1 month. Adjust intervals based on difficulty. Use digital tools. Apps like Anki generate flashcards and schedule reviews based on your performance. For example, a medical student might create flashcards for drug names and review them daily, with the app spacing out mastered cards. Combine with active recall. During each review, test yourself without looking at notes to strengthen retrieval pathways. Example: a project manager studying for a certification exam used spaced repetition to memorize project management frameworks. By reviewing key terms over 2 months, she retained 95% of the material, passing the exam with ease. Active recall for exam preparation. Active recall is particularly effective for academic success, as it mimics exam conditions. To implement it, self-test regularly. After studying a chapter, close the book and write down key points or solve practice problems. Use practice exams. Simulate exam conditions by timing yourself and working in a distraction-free environment. Teach others. Explaining concepts to peers or even an imaginary audience reinforces understanding and retrieval. Example: a high school student preparing for a chemistry exam created a study group where each member taught a topic. By teaching the periodic table trends, she solidified her own understanding and scored 92% on the test. Mnemonics for complex information. Mnemonics are ideal for memorizing lists, formulas, or technical terms. For example, acronyms: to remember the components of a business plan, executive summary, market analysis, financial plan, create the acronym ENV. Chunking. When learning a foreign language, vocabulary, group words by theme, for example, food, travel, emotions, to make them easier to recall. Rhymes or songs. Create a rhyme to remember historical dates, such as, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Case study: a software engineer used chunking to memorize API endpoints for a project. By grouping endpoints by function, for example, user authentication, data retrieval, he recalled them accurately during development. Lifestyle optimization for cognitive performance. To maximize memory, integrate the following habits. Prioritize sleep. Schedule 7-8 hours of sleep, especially before exams or presentations. Avoid all-nighters, as they impair retrieval. Exercise regularly. Engage in 30 minutes of moderate exercise, for example, jogging, cycling 3 to 4 times per week to boost hippocampal function. Eat brain-healthy foods. Incorporate foods like walnuts, avocados, and dark chocolate into your diet to support cognitive health. Practice mindfulness. Spend 10 minutes daily on mindfulness meditation to reduce stress and improve focus. Example: a graduate student struggling with memory lapses adopted a routine of morning yoga, a Mediterranean diet, and 8 hours of sleep. Within weeks, her recall of research articles improved, and she completed her thesis with high praise. Applying memory skills in academic and professional contexts. Academic success for students. A strong memory is critical for mastering course material and performing well on exams. Here's how to apply these strategies. Before studying, preview the material to identify key concepts. Use elaborative encoding by relating new topics to prior knowledge. During studying, use the memory palace for lists or sequences, spaced repetition for long-term retention, and active recall to test understanding. Before exams, review using practice tests and get adequate sleep to consolidate memories. Example: a college student studying for a psychology exam used the memory palace to memorize Freud's psychosexual stages. By associating each stage with the room in her dorm, she recalled them flawlessly, earning an A professional success. In professional settings, memory enhances productivity, credibility, and leadership. Strategies include: presentations. Use mnemonics to remember key points or data. For example, a sales manager might use an acronym to recall quarterly goals during a pitch. Meetings. Practice active recall by summarizing discussions without notes to reinforce retention. Networking. Use visualization to remember names and faces. For instance, associate a new contact's name with a vivid image, for example, Mike, with a microphone. Example: a marketing executive used spaced repetition to memorize client preferences before a campaign pitch. Her ability to recall details impressed the client, securing a major contract. Overcoming common memory challenges. Even with the best strategies, individuals may face obstacles like stress, information overload, or aging. Psychologists offer solutions. Stress. Use relaxation techniques like deep breathing to lower cortisol levels before studying or performing. Information overload. Prioritize key information using the Pareto principle. 80% of outcomes come from 20% of inputs, and focus on high-impact material. Aging. Engage in lifelong learning and cognitive exercises, for example, puzzles, learning a new language to maintain memory function, as supported by a 2021 study in Neurology. Livingston et al., 2021. Developing a strong memory is a transformative skill that empowers individuals to excel academically and professionally. By understanding the science of memory encoding, storage, and retrieval, and applying psychologists' evidence-based advice, anyone can enhance their cognitive abilities. Techniques like the memory palace, spaced repetition, and active recall, combined with lifestyle optimizations such as sleep, exercise, and nutrition, provide a robust framework for memory improvement. Whether mastering exam material, delivering impactful presentations, or building professional relationships, a strong memory is a competitive advantage that unlocks endless possibilities. By committing to these strategies, individuals can achieve greater confidence, competence, and success in all areas of life.